Hello, good afternoon. Michael Wynn, Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, the division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Thanks for tuning in today to the Digital Marketing Podcast and Video Series, where we talk about digital marketing tactics to help grow your business. Today, I'm super excited to share with you guys how to place ads on Hulu, the ultimate guide to flights, targeting, and ad spend on probably one of the most popular premium streaming video platforms right now. I mean, there's no doubt that many Americans have really just found themselves in a budget crunch. They're tired of paying overinflated prices for cable television, and thus the term cable cutters, cord cutters, has become a household thing. So, for those of you who may or may not be aware, Hulu is a streaming video platform. They have three offerings. You can sign up for a minimum $5.99 a month. On that platform, you are served ads. You can select the no ads platform, or you can go with live TV, and those prices scale up from here. But I think the interesting sort of statistics, if you look at it, is there's about a 70-30 split when it comes to subscribers who are agreeing to the with ads platform. I mean, at $6 a month, I mean that's cheaper than having lunch at your favorite drive-through Chick-fil-A or even your fanciest latte from Starbucks. So for $5.99 a month, streaming content is a heck of a lot cheaper than paying $80 a month to your premium cable provider. So when we look at the audience breakdown for Hulu, I think it's interesting. They definitely have a very premium sort of demographic, probably second to maybe the Golf Channel, but slightly, maybe a little bit younger. The average median age of the subscriber on the Hulu platform is 32 years old, an average household income of $92,000 per year. So we're looking at young, affluent subscribers here. The breakdown is slightly skewed towards female, dominating 52% of the subscriber market, while the males make up 48%. Now, I do think it's interesting that if you look at, so that's the median age, but they really do reach the 18 to 49 is sort of the, that represents about 85% of the total, range of age demographic information there. So 18 to 49 years old. Now, they currently report that they've got 28 million subscribers. However, what's interesting is they also report 70 million ad-supported uniques, which basically means, and maybe you, like myself, I've got multiple profiles on my account. So I may have an account, my daughter may have an account, my girlfriend may have an account, and we all watch different content. So, being able to serve ad content in a contextual manner based on the user profile is important, and we'll get into targeting in a minute. But I do think that it's interesting when we think about that, of these 70 million, ad-supported uniques, profiles, that 25% of them represent either cord cutters, or they just have never had TV, cable TV or linear TV, as we think of it, which is really interesting. This is their, primary way where they, watch and consume video content and programming content, whether it's, current TV shows or, syndicated series of shows, whatever the mix of content is. Now, I do think it's interesting, some of the initiatives that they've done in the past to really help bolster their, subscribers was, they partnered with Sprint. If you had a Sprint plan, you got Hulu for free. If you had a Spotify account and had a .edu account, you could get Hulu for free. So, a couple of different sort of, partnerships or collaborations that they've done, with other organizations to, really help, boost the 28 million subscribers, I think is interesting. And who knows, we may see additional, collaborative partnerships, with other entities. So that will be interesting to see. Obviously, Huluween is right around the corner. It's sort of their answer to, what is it, the 100 Days Till Christmas on, one of the other subscriber cable networks. But Huluween is a huge opportunity for them that's coming up. And so if you're a brand and you're, wanting to jump on the bandwagon and get your brand in front of Hulu subscribers, Huluween is one of their biggest, where you see a real spike in viewership and content that is consumed. Now, I do think it's interesting that their frequency slightly different from linear TV. It's interesting that, number one, there's no skip. Okay, so unlike linear or recorded TV, that's an interesting thing. Now, obviously, if you're watching an on-demand program, there's some caveats around that. But I do think that it's interesting that when you look at their default frequency, which is basically two, you can either get 2 times per 60 minutes or 4 times per day. That's sort of their default frequency. Now, you can, working with your Hulu representative, you can actually modify that. Now, I know that there are some advertisers, really big brands, like Geico, and others, as I watch Hulu, and it seems like, oh my gosh, like if I have to watch this, Geico commercial again, I'm going to rip my eyes out. But, they have determined that. So, they've really bumped up the frequency there. But what is interesting is that while there are the same number of breaks in the program, the length of these, pods, if you will, of their advertising opportunities, these ads, is half the length compared to the traditional 3-minute segment break in linear TV. So they have done that, at least, is they've cut that back in half. So you essentially have 90 seconds. So another thing that's interesting is as an advertiser, whether you want a 14-second or a 22-second, the length of your spot, you have a lot of flexibility there. So I do think that is interesting. Now, in this day and age, one of the things that I recently had the opportunity to speak with the Florida State University Advertising Club, and we talked about, this idea of moving away from linear TV, the single spot creative, trying to, shove down the throats of the viewers this one size fits all message. And with Hulu, I do think it's interesting that you can run multiple creative spots at different flights and target specific audiences, because when you register for your account, number one, you put in your name, you put in your date of birth, you register this information. Plus, they've got partnerships with Nielsen ratings based on some of the information that they, from the programming side, but they've also got third-party partners that are a part of their data set, which would include Oracle, Axiom, Experian. So, I mean, they've got some very good data, which can allow you to segment your message. So I think that offers brands a great opportunity to, create contextual, personalized creative, which matches the platform, right? Because again, your Hulu, ID, when you log in and watch your things and recommended for Michael versus your recommended shows, it looks different than mine because of the content, the genre that I select, the different shows that I watch. It's going to be different than yours. And so I do like the idea of having a platform that allows you to be able to segment your creative based on your flights. Now, when we really dial into the targeting, so obviously, you have the ability to not only look at some of your demographic information and behavior information, they also offer geo targeting as well. So, I mean, you can get specifically into, whether it's a zip code or a specific genre. Now, the one thing, because of their agreements that they have in place, you can't target a specific show, but you can exclude, various genres or programs if you don't want your brand to show up on things. So you can use exclusion. So I do think that does offer brands a little bit of flexibility there. But I like the idea of being able to run, like, so you may have, let's say you really have, 2 or 3 or 4 really core buckets, maybe you've got the lower age bracket versus maybe you've got a more mature age bracket. Maybe you need to stay in front of the 18 to 25-year-old, but then you've got also folks that might be 49 and up, and you want to be able to have that creative to be able to speak to them in a contextual way about your product, about your services, so that you don't want to show the same ad creative to the 49-year-old that you're trying to reach, for say that 22-year-old. So I do like the idea of being able to kind of segment, the flights, the targeting, and then of course the ad spend. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you've got roughly a minimum of 30K for your ad spend budget. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to spend 30K a month or 30K over 90 days. In fact, they really don't have a specific time frame of what you're going to spend that 30K, but you do need to, when you set up your account and you begin to advertise, they do require a commitment of 30K. So, when you think about it, I think, for clients that we're making recommendations on, I mean, we're going to be looking at changing out that creative, probably on a 30 to 40-day rotation, especially because we're monitoring that same video content on social, and we're looking at the engagement, we're looking at the data behind what creative is working. Again, and we've talked about this on the show, when you're able to run video creative on the social platforms, especially on Facebook and Instagram stories, and you have the ability to look at the granular detail and look at the segment audiences and see which ad creative is what content are your viewers responding to the most and staying, and watching for longer periods. And so we're kind of using that as a test run and then being able to leverage that on Hulu. So we've already tested, it's almost like having your A/B test in a focus group in the real world. And then when you really pony up for the premium dollars going to Hulu, you're running creative that you already know is going to respond well to your audience. So I think that is a really wise strategy when it comes to how you're going to segment the flights, your targeting, and your ad spend. So when it comes to reporting, I think obviously you've got breakdown of, the ad served versus the ad completion. Now, as they say, you can't, skip an ad. However, you could close the account, or, you could change the, channel selection or genre that you're looking at. and close out that ad. So in the reporting, you're going to get ad served versus ad completion. And the way they've got it set up is there's the pixel that fires at the last second of your creative that runs. So, and you're not charged against your budget unless they watch until that very last second when that pixel is fired. So there is an opportunity for you to get additional value, if you will, or additional impressions without spending against your budget. If I shut the, if I turn it off, or if I navigate over to my saved favorites and I move off of the program that I was watching that's got that ad that's being served. So I think that is worth noting. Now, a couple of things that I want to also sort of bring to your attention is that when you're looking at, okay, what is the premium? What's the CPM that I'm going to spend on linear TV versus what's the premium I'm going to spend when I'm on Hulu? So I think on average, Hulu is going to report somewhere around $28 per CPM. And then there's also some premiums added. So when you add in, some of these additional features like, geo targeting, you're going to have an additional 10% premium. Or if you add in some of the third-party data, such as the Oracle, Axiom, or Experian data, when you're trying to do that, you're going to have an additional 15% fee to be able to really dial in those features. So you're going to pay a premium, but you're also getting in front of people. Like I said earlier, you've got 25% of 28 million users who have no form of linear TV whatsoever. So you're able to get in front of people that otherwise you may not be able to get in front of. Now, I do think it's interesting when you look at Hulu as far as streaming services. I think the other thing that's going to be really interesting is as YouTube TV continues to grow, and obviously we know YouTube is the second most searched next to Google's own search platform. The amount of video that's being watched on there and their ad platform, we know right now that, having an ad run, whether you run YouTube pre-roll ads, which cannot be skipped, but you're limited to 15 seconds, is, literally a thousandth, fractions, pennies on the dollar compared to, really this premium streaming service, CPM cost. I mean, you're talking literally YouTube pre-roll where you're paying, 4, 5, 6 cents, 6 cents, 30 cents. I mean, extremely low cost on that platform. But, again, you're looking at a totally different platform in YouTube videos, and you're not, competing with distractions like, cat videos and things like that. You're in the middle of prime entertainment consumption. But we'll see how that shifts. I know YouTube is really trying to ramp up its premium TV service with YouTube TV. So it'll be interesting. Guys, I hope this has been informative. I know that a lot of people have asked, hey, how do I place ads on Hulu? What are some of the options when it comes to, the flights, to the targeting, what kind of ad spend do I need to have roughly? So I hope that this has been helpful and informative to you. Again, my name is Michael Wynn. I'm the Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Thanks for tuning in today and have a great day. See you guys next time.